Eric Fontanez, MMAWeekly.com, here with the victorious Tony Ferguson at the TUF 14 finale. Tony, congratulations on the win, no doubt. Tell me about the win. How do you rate your performance?
I rated pretty good. I rate Eve's good too as well. It was a good, strong fight. We both exchanged a lot of combinations. We were both trying to figure out exactly. We were kind of like looking, slip, hit, nope, psych, we missed. All right. So it was kind of like one of those fights where it was kind of like we were trying to figure out our rhythm. And, and the one thing was that somebody told me was, hey, once he gets in his rhythm, that's when he starts fighting the best. So I had to make sure that once he came at me and he hit me in the head a couple times or something, I had to stop it right there, and I had to turn that force back around. That water that brushes up against the wall, stop it, and then push back forward.
And you had him rocked a couple times early, too. Did you think you were going to finish the fight at that point?
I did, but the one thing was I remember as soon as you start throwing like that and the guy's against the cage, what does Pat Barry do? Bink, head kick, right? And so what I wanted to do was make sure that I wasn't throwing a bunch of flurries, so that way when I took a second out, boom, I was going to get hit. So what I wanted to do was make sure that I paced myself. I always have to go for the kill right away. If you injure somebody, you can always find that opening, whether it's for the body or, against Aaron Riley. Obviously I broke his jaw like that, but I was looking for different things. But he did his homework, man, and he knew exactly what I was going to do. So I had to switch it up a little bit.
You got a pretty bad gash right there on the bridge of the nose. Do you remember where that came from?
I don't know. The doctor said it might have been from a fingernail. So I don't know exactly. I just remember there was one time where I put my head down. I remember getting kneed, but I didn't know if that was the point where it actually cut the bridge of the nose or my nose started bleeding. I think that was when my nose started bleeding, and I think this was actually from a fingernail. So either way, he still caught me, and so I mean, obviously.
No big deal, right? No big deal at all.
Honestly, this is our sport, and this is what we do. Obviously, not a lot of people can do what we do, but at the same time, we get hit for a living. And we try not to get hit, and we try to deal the most damage, but obviously, it happens sometimes.
Now, you're a former TUF winner. What's it like coming back to the Palms and performing again, this time as a professional fighter with 3 wins under your belt in the UFC?
Oh, that's awesome, man. I tell you what, I fought 6 times this year inside the house, and out of everything. So I'm glad to enjoy the holidays now. So, but outside of that, I've learned a lot from those last 2 fights that I've actually had. After Ramsey Nijum, I had Aaron Riley and then Eve Edwards. Put those 2 fights together, how many fights is that? You know what I mean? That's a lot of experience. And so I've definitely learned a lot this year.
Was this the toughest fight of your career? Because he seemed to be standing toe-to-toe with you for a while, and you guys were going back and forth.
It was a pretty tough fight. My other tough fight that I always had was against Brock Jardine over at Pure Combat a while back, and we actually went about 23 minutes. And it was a pretty tough fight, and he cut me in the first 15 seconds of the fight with an overhand right. But this, I was
going to ask, was it another fingernail?
No, it was actually an overhand right, and he actually cut me. I always give people props, if they do injure me or anything else like that, but I always bounce back, and I always try to make sure that, it's not going to finish me. I tell you what, you're going to have to kill me in order to finish me.
What can people expect from you going forward? Are you thinking about another opponent? Obviously, you've got a few wins under your belt now. Sometimes fighters call out other fighters in order to move up the rankings. Is that something you do?
I always listen to Dana and Joe Silva, and those guys have just been awesome. I'm just listening to their advice. I listen to my coach's advice and my manager, Brian Stegman, with my coaches from Team Death Clutch with Marty Morgan, and it's all on us. It's not just an individual sport for me. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Who's the team want you to fight?
Who's the team want me to fight? It's whoever they want me to fight. It's in their hands. If Joe calls me up and he tells me that they want me to fight this guy, hey, you know what I'll do is I never say no. That's it.
You're not going to give me a name, are you?
Nope. A name? Let's see, my fiance. No, I was kidding. No, I was kidding.
Probably don't want to fight her.
No. She'd actually kick my butt. No, the one thing is honestly, I really, the last time somebody asked me who you want to fight, the only time I said Amir Sodal is because I saw him in the crowd. I really don't care. It's just a big joke for me, just to be able to call people. I never have before. My dad always told me, he's like, why would you want to go on this wrestling chart and look and see who you're going to wrestle next? Nah, man, you're always going to, in order to be #1, you have to go through that whole entire tournament either way and beat every single person. So my time will come.
Well, congratulations on the win, Tony, and thanks for talking with MMAWeekly.com.